Okay, this is one of the weirder videos because I have seen so many conflicting reports about something. Basically, this auction area, you can do special auctions to get the unique items for legendaries and some other stuff. And I have moved every Pokemon that has an item into this game. Some people said if you add them to your party, that will influence what shows up in the auctions. Other people have said it doesn't matter if they're in your party or not. It just needs to be stuff in your boxes. So I just grabbed a party to see if any of the party Pokemon get the auction items, because I'm curious if I can basically get like all the auction items in a single shot with a bunch of editing. Zap play, yeah, okay. That's funny. Yeah, nest ball. I do have an Arceus in my party and just having to get a Zap play. That's funny. Now, the issue, and this bothers the ever-living shit out of me, and I can do a lot of cutting to see what happens in here. All the Arceus plates are random and individual.
But there's only one of each, right?
Yes.
So that's at minimum 8, so that's at maximum 18.
That's 18 different auctions for fucking Arceus!
For Arceus on its own.
Yes. That was that plate. Fist plate. Oh my god, all the Arceus plates are probably about to be back to back. This is going to be like 15 minutes just for the Arceus plates, just to see if other items show up in here. Oh, funny. Oh my god. I'm literally just going to show what happens. I got 2 Arceus plates. And I get one of the Necrozma items. This person is thankfully rolling them all back to back, but they're all completely random. My party doesn't matter. If you have all the Pokemon, it seems like they're just going to keep auctioning anything that's available. At least these are relatively cheap, but it's going to probably cost me a good chunk. I can cut around in this. I've wanted to do this. Reigns of Unity! So far, to be fair, everything that has been auctioned so far has been related to my party. I mean, that could be a coincidence, but...
Yes.
But... Oh, fine. No. The rule has been broken. That's just a box item. I didn't bring, Dialga.
Now, like I said, it could be just having the Polygon does make them have a chance to show up, and like I said, having them in your party.
The only, as I'm cutting around in this, the only thing that I have seen straight out be mentioned to be needed in your party is a Zacian and a Zamazenta.
Have to pay attention to if those show up then.
Sweet. off, dude. All of my money. Arg, SpongeBob, you're spending all of me money. Oh my god, they're separate. The fucking Kung Fu scrolls are separate.
That makes sense, though, because it was...
Damn it!
It was technically separate in Sword and Shield.
Damn it! People forget this item's even over here. I'm just cutting around, just...
Most people just transferred their Urshifu in from a sword or shield.
I'm just literally probably cutting around, just showing what items show up and just showing me winning, maybe talking, especially if I get an early win like that. They are going all off in a row. There's another Argus plate. Nice. This has kind of confirmed the party doesn't matter unless I never see Zacian and Zamazinta's items. Which I think someone said is at a different auction booth and they need to be in your party, so we'll determine that in a minute. Okay. This was a good excuse to do this, though. Okay. Roll. You had the Rotom and you re-roll the... That's interesting. It's whatever. I swear to God, they had the Rotom catalog and re-rolled the... Ice plate, doesn't matter. I want them all anyway. Then I'm gonna do some raids and get all my damn money back. Oh, that confirms it. They just need to be in your boxes, not your party. That's a rusted sword. So, I've seen things say party, but that's wrong. As long as it's in your box, you can get the item. My party does not have a Zacian in it. I have a Zacian in a box. Sweet. Aha, it's not my party. Cool. That confirms that. They just need to be in your boxes. That's all that matters. I have now confirmed a conflicting report that no one seems to have bothered with. Good God Almighty. Okay. That should be everything. And with cuts, this can be a single video, so you just needed the Pokemon in your party. Damn it, I mean, in your boxes. It actually turns out you did not need a single thing in your party.
Funny.
You just needed the stuff in your boxes because I got
So the things in your party, like those items seemingly being the more common, was pure coincidence.
Yes.
Funny.
Because the auction person's gone, so I'm pretty sure I got everything. To quickly explain a couple of things, and then I'm ending off. You need the Pokemon that uses the items, but only the most important Pokemon matters in the weird sets. So, like, you need an Arceus for the plate. You need a Calyrex for the Reigns of Unity because it's a fusion item. Along those lines, you need Necrozma for its set of fusion items. Because Solgaleo and Lunala can be fused to Necrozma, but the Necrozma is the important one. And then you need a Kyurem for its fusion item. Then the rest of those, Rotom gets an item that lets you change its forms. So you need a Rotom. Need a Cupfu for the items that let you evolve it. Need a Shaman for the Gracidea flower so that you can change its form. You need a Hooba for the prison bottle so you can change its form. Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina are all needed for their separate items. because they basically have unique items to them, including those form changing items, but their OG items exist as well. Then you need a Deoxys for its form changing item, that was the meteorite. Latios or Latios for the Soul Dew, doesn't matter because they share the item. Tornadus, Thunderous, or Landorus for their form changing item. Again, they all change form with the same item, so it doesn't matter. It is literally the source Pokemon. And then Zacian and Zamazenta have their own items. So you need, like, the Pokemon that uses the item directly, not the Pokemon that is used in the fusion. But I literally had every combination of everything. I had Solgaleo, Lunala, Necrozma, and stuff. Now, I don't believe I actually moved Spectrier into this game, but I did move just to test something. I basically had, obviously, the Calyrex, but I had Glastrier from a while ago to try something. But with that said, with some cuts, this will be a single bonus video. This was just one dumb thing I wanted to do between some other projects, because I saw a bunch of conflicting reports. Because the auction person disappeared, I should have every item, because I made damn sure to move every Pokemon I needed into the game. So I'm going to do a little outro thing now. I have other things in the Pokemon I need to finish, but this was just bothering me, so I wanted to try this. So I did actually confirm. They just need to be in your boxes. Being in your party does not matter. But if you want specific items, the best way to get specific items is to actually only transfer that Pokemon, because the auctions are based on what you have. So if you wanted all the Arceus plates, transfer Arceus before anything else. Because otherwise you end up with the mix like I did, but I wanted the mix. So I'm going to quickly do an outro. Call this a video. I was just trying to finish some stuff while working on some other stuff in the Pokemon that was taking a while, and this could be a side video. I could just come here and do this. But with that said, if you enjoyed the video or any of our videos, subscribing to the channel helps the most. Subscriptions go a long way. If more people subscribe, YouTube will promote the channel more. So, subscriptions are super welcome. And if you've literally sat and watched basically a heavily truncated video of me going back to back and getting all the items for probably, like, even with cuts, 15-20 minutes straight, then you might enjoy the content enough to maybe subscribe. We all have to chill it is what it is. In the video description and the pinned comment are a bunch of social media links. Some of those sites are cesspools, but I promote the channel across a wide net of stuff. If I avoided somewhat problematic sites, I couldn't promote the channel as much. Again, it is what it is. Mixed in with the different social media links are a bunch of different things and a Patreon. So, if you want to support the channel financially, the Patreon's under my name, so the money would go to me. Lowest tier is $1. You get videos early. Every dollar helps. Second tier is $2, and I was going to use it to have some editor's notes. I use it for some thumbnail sneak peeks. And if I get more people on that tier, I will give you a list of games. That list is stuff me and Carson have already played. So it's stuff I'm going to edit, meaning it's stuff that would go up on the channel. Third tier is $3, and if you get on that tier and I get enough people, I will give you a list, and that list will be stuff me and Carson want to record. So that will be stuff that basically goes into the backlog. Unless it's a weird special case, it might go up more immediately. But I wanted to let people vote on basically some things. So if I let people vote on what we end up recording and what I edit, that would be cool. But with all of that said, this has basically been nearly 45 minutes. And most of this was my little intro, this outro, and then just me getting all the items back to back. But this is a single video. I can easily cut around in this, save you some time. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I hope I will see you all next time. So, as always, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everybody. I hope you come back someday. See you later. It's time for the question of the day and my overall thoughts on the topic. So, anyway, how do you feel about all of these special auctions? Personally, I'm conflicted because on the one hand, I understand why they designed these special auctions the way they did, but on the other hand, I feel like the multiple items that belong to a single Pokemon should have just been one singular auction where you get all the items at once. Because I feel like it's arbitrary and stupid that I basically need to do an auction for every Arceus plant. That's incredibly dumb, and all it does is pad out these auctions, when I feel like sets of items like that should have been one singular auction. They could have basically given you all of the plates at once, and all the other Pokemon that basically have multiple items, they could have given you those items as a set as well. Like, Kubfu could have basically had both of the scrolls at once, instead of making you auction for each individual scroll, because that's also, again, incredibly dumb. And then the singular items would have been the same, which would have been fine, because my biggest problem with all of this is making you auction for every item on its own, because all that does is pad out these auctions and waste everybody's time, because there's no reason, especially for Arceus, that I need to sit there and auction for every individual plate, when you could have easily grouped items together if they belong to the same Pokemon and just saved everybody time. These auctions are fine enough. I just feel like this was an idiotic waste of time. Even with me basically saving between every item in case something stupid happened, like the game randomly crashing or something, I basically still went directly for every item as soon as I saved. And I wasn't really standing around and talking all that much, and this still took nearly 45 minutes versus what really should have been only 10 or 15 minutes if they had just grouped items together, if they all belonged to the same Pokemon, which again, I feel like they could have done. That's literally my only problem. Otherwise, this is fine. The items are naturally pretty cheap, but you still end up spending a good chunk of money just due to the nature of the fact that you basically need to auction for a lot of items. Now, I know semantically you could make an argument where, oh, you could ignore a few of these items, but it's still good to get most of these. And I would still argue that out of all of these, that you might have a valid reason for wanting everything. The only items in this entire set that might not be worth grabbing are the scrolls for a Kubfu. Unless you really want to evolve the Kubfu from the DLC, basically in Scarlet and Violet without needing to do anything else, because that is the only way you can evolve the Kubfu that you catch in the DLC. So the scrolls are good for that. Otherwise, I would then argue that everything else is at least nice to have just in case. Because if you don't have the fusion items, you can't fuse any of those Pokemon together. If you don't have the different plates, you can't use those forms of Arceus. If you don't have the items that change something's form, you can't use the form changes. And I guess with the nerf, Soul Dew is not as useful as it used to be, but that's still a decent item. But regardless, I feel like the auctions should have basically grouped things together. And I'm starting to ramble. I'm just really hung up on that. At least you can get them all in one go, but the fact that I basically had to sit there for almost 50 minutes in order to do that is kind of absurd. Now, I did the intro when I started the game specifically because I basically started the recording, took a minute to set up my team, and then I did the intro. So that did use up some time, but even if you were to just walk over and start doing that, and even if you didn't save between getting all the items, you're still looking at what is likely going to be 35 to 40 minutes anyway, just because you're going to sit there and spam through all the items and the loading screens between all the different auctions. I was just saving in case something stupid happened because I didn't want to be getting the items and lose anything if the game randomly crashed or something dumb came up. Because even though I think people are being over dramatic, the Switch 2 does seem to randomly screw up when using Switch 1 games. And I've had some Switch 1 stuff crash on me. So, any random thing could cause a crash. Scarlet and Violet are also naturally unstable anyway at random, even though they mostly patched out a bunch of nonsense. So I was taking no chances in case some absolutely 1 in a million thing happened where the game just randomly crashed. Which also, again, could be the Switch 2, because Switch 1 games can be slightly unstable, but I feel like reports on that overall are overblown. But I'm starting to ramble, and this video is basically extended because of this. Anyway, I'm going to stop rambling now. You can leave your thoughts, opinions, and answers in the comments, or you can leave them on social media. All of my social media links, as well as my Discord links, are in the video description. Now, as always, I need to be a shill for a minute. If you subscribe to the channel, and if you follow me on social media, that really helps our communities grow. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I hope I will see you all next time. So as always, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everybody. I hope you come back someday. See you later.